So, we ask everybody this, and to conclude, I'll ask you too. How does Joe Satriani define shred?
Yeah, that's, I suppose part of the performance has to challenge the norm. That's what I think is important. That's why, I remember when hearing Neil Young play the solo for Cinnamon Girl, right? It's just one note, right? Da-na-na-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na. He just keeps playing it, but it's a shred because of the attitude that he puts into it, and the fact that he probably thought, oh, you're probably expecting Carl Perkins or
right.
something that sounds like Jimmy Page or something, and he goes, no, I'm just going to play this one note on 2 strings, and you're going to love it, And I think that embodies the attitude of shred. Certainly not what Charles Caswell is doing,
right,
or Jason Richardson. But I think that if they don't put that into their shredding, then it's just demonstration, and that is kind of a sin, right, of performance. Right. Because I think the audience knows if you're just demonstrating what you've rehearsed, or are you connecting with them saying, check this out, I'm going to do something that is going to blow your mind, and yeah, it's a bit edgy, and maybe I should have done something else, but I'm going to do this instead. Right. And I think that's really important, and you've got to do it well. So Neil Young did that one note solo really well, and so players who just fill it up with a lot more notes, it still has to be done well.
Right.
It's not the quantity that defines the shred.
Right. We get that question a lot because, some people say Slash is not shred. I'm like, you don't have to play a million notes like we're just having to be classified. Yeah. It's a songwriting too. You wrote great solos. You can always say hummable. You can hum it. It's memorable, right? That right too.
Yeah. Context is really important. I was talking to the audience this afternoon about the context, where a lot of times players who play alone, they're in their bedroom and they're shredding and they think they're really great. There's just one person and they're not really understanding the context of the solo. So that means that it's a solo, but what are the chords behind the solo? What are the bass notes? What's the groove behind the solo? How is that all fitting in and then being this foundation for the solo? And if you don't take that into account, then you're just demonstrating.
Good point.
That's the difference. So Tom Morello, in that context of Rage Against the Machine, that's total shredding. Yeah. That's just total shredding. And again, he could have played Neil Young, or he could have played, Jimmy Page or Slash, but he went, no, I'm going to play this, and you're going to like it.
Very true. Very true. I like that definition a lot. Last question: what's the one guitar you wish you never sold?
The '54 Strat. No, I have to let you know, this was not a pristine piece, right? It's not like Joe Bonamassa would never even open the case, knowing what it was. So it was a '54 Strat with maybe questionable pickups in it, like maybe they were from '55, oh my God, or '56. A collector would hate that. Somebody had refinished the entire guitar, and you know what a sunburst looks like. Well, this was, let's call it a avocado sunburst. It was someone's idea of using greens instead of browns and oranges and reds to create this thing. So everyone who walked into the store would go, oh my God, what a sin against nature to finish a '54 Stratocaster in this sort of, I loved it. I just thought it was great. And then they also tinted the neck. So it had a slight gold tint, amber colored to the finish. But this guitar sounded so sweet and the pickups were so weak that it had this extra ambience. The more power in the pickups, the less ambience you get, and the more string pull, the more difficult it is for the guitar to sound in tune. Because the magnets in the pickups are literally pulling the strings and restricting them from vibrating. They do send out a lot more volume. But when you have these weak single coil pickups, they really do record everything that's happening, not only on the string, but all the ambience around the string. And that's why it can sound like, when you play it, it sounds like something's actually happening, picking up on it, on those things. And a couple of notes on the guitar would always just go into natural feedback. It was uncanny.
Wow.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Didn't stay in tune too well. I mean, it was an old Strat, they're pretty funky, but I wish I hadn't sold it.
How long ago did you sell it?
I was, well, let me think, 81 maybe. I was building guitars for this band I was in, so I needed funds to buy more guitar parts to build my own Stratocasters with humbuckers in them. And so I didn't care. I mean, because I was teaching in a vintage guitar shop, I just didn't care about vintage guitars. I played all the 59 Les Pauls and all the 50 Strats, and it was like, most of them are horrible. But the people who bought them were wealthy foreigners who would come in, who would just buy them because they were American and they were old, and they never play them. And it
sounds familiar though, right?
Yeah, it turned me off to the whole vintage market, and I said, I'm just going to build brand new guitars, and it's all about the fingers and the music.
Yeah, it's crazy. You've heard of Gruen guitars out in Nashville,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
So I collect old guitar magazines, so I go to the classifieds to read them. Back in like '82 Guitar Player, you see the Gruen ad, and they're begging you to consider, just please consider vintage gear from the 70s at that point. So you're talking 10 years prior, they're calling it vintage, and they're saying it plays just as good as new, and you'll save a bunch of money.
Wow.
Again, they were onto a little bit earlier before everybody else was, right? That's like, you gotta be kidding me.
That's a great shop. I bought a guitar there. I think it was a 59 Les Paul Special. Yeah, it was a great guitar.
Wow,
yeah.
That's great, huh? It's a total great store to go to. Them and Carter's has some good stuff too.
Yeah, yeah.
Wild finds there. But anyway, I gotta thank you for doing this. We went way over, I think, the time limit, and I want to just appreciate you doing this, your entire crew, for their patience. Where can everybody follow and keep up to date with you?
Oh yeah, Satriani.com, and then just, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Facebook, and whatever else is out there. I'm easy to find.
And for the artwork, right? It's all
for the artwork, Wentworth Gallery.
Okay.
And yeah, they're all on the East Coast, but of course you can just go to Wentworth Gallery online.
There it is. You guys, thank again to Joe Satriani. You can follow me at Masters of Shred on Instagram, and check us out on YouTube. Subscribe to it. Of course, follow Monsters of Rock Cruise, where we are shooting this from live. And you can follow me personally at Mr. Shred Official. Thank you guys for tuning in, and stay tuned for some more Talking Shred, and give it up for the mighty Joe Satriani.
Yeah, I did it. I did Mr. Shred, yeah.
That didn't sound right, but that worked.